What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about hood struts, and if you guys don't know what that is, we're going to explain that to you guys right now. So hood struts is basically two shocks that are going to be holding up your hood without having to use your hood prop. Okay, as you guys know, these hoods are pretty heavy, and having to use a hood prop every time is kind of annoying. Literally every other Toyota has it besides the Tacoma, and it's been this way for the longest time. I don't know why Toyota has not put hood struts on the Tacoma when every other vehicle, literally, especially like the 4Runner and the Tundra, has it. It's super annoying, but we have a solution to that today. These are made by a company called Spiker Engineering. They have put together this kit. It is a complete kit, comes with literally everything you need to install it. And also you can have the option of choosing with the drill bit if you don't have one. It's pretty cool. These struts are 100% made in the USA. They are made by a OEM manufacturer, so these struts are legit. These are super high quality. There are a couple other brands that are out there, but they are not made in the USA. There are some that are made in the USA, but these stand out because this is probably my favorite part. They raise your hood an extra 6 inches. That way you get more light and more access to everything in the engine. So as you can see here, the rod is right here and it no longer reaches because we have that extra 6 inches. And another cool thing that we really like about these struts is that you don't have to do any measurements. You literally just line up the bottom ones with the pinpoints that are already on the truck, and then the struts will line up for the upper mounts automatically, and then you just put the rivets in. So let's go ahead and jump into the install and we'll show you guys. Alright guys, so here is what's going to be included in the kit. So of course we got our gas struts, the mounting brackets here and here, and then we have the rivets, and then they also provide us with this guard that's going to be going on your drill bit. That way you don't drill through your hood. And then of course we got the instructions. We're going to be showing you guys how to install this in this video, but in case we miss something, it will have instructions for you guys to take a look at. And then over here, the tools you'll need is just a basic mechanic tool set, some alcohol just to clean the surface, and then we have here, this is a painter's adjustable rod. If you guys get a 2 feet to 4 feet, that would be perfect. We couldn't find one, so we have a 3 to 6. It will work. We'll just show you guys how to make it work. And then of course we'll need a drill bit, a marker of some kind, a punch tool, some touch-up paint or primer just to seal the bare metal that's gonna be there after we drill it, a rivet gun, measuring tape or measuring ruler, and then of course just some masking tape. So let's go ahead and jump to the install. Alright guys, first thing we're gonna do is grab one of your struts. We're just gonna make sure that when the hood is closed, it's not gonna hit anything. So if you guys don't have anything extra under your hood, you guys don't have to worry about it. But we have a secondary battery over here, and what we did is we just loosened up the battery tie down, and then we scooted the battery that way. So when the hood strut is here, it won't contact it. So it's nice and free. And then on the other side, we do have a little switch. This switch controls my secondary battery if I wanted to shut it off, and we're not going to have an issue running into that, so we'll be completely fine. Like I said, if you guys don't have anything extra, you guys don't really have to worry about this part. And then second thing, you will need a 2 to 4 foot extension pole. We couldn't find one, so we got a 3 to 6, and I'll show you guys how to make this work. So normally if you can get a 2 to 4 foot pole, you can put it here where the hood latches, and then all the way up to the actual latch itself. So you would just run it there to there. But since we have a 3-foot one, it won't work, as you can see. So we're gonna put it down here, down into the down into the grill, and then we'll just lift the hood slightly and then tuck it in there. So right now it's the same height as the OEM hood prop, and the cool thing about the struts is that it's going to allow us to either set it at the OEM height, or it's going to let us set it to up to a 6-inch past the OEM height. So that's what we're going to do. Once you make sure that this is unlocked, we're going to go ahead and measure the actual rod. So we got a tape measure here. We're going to pull it out to 6 inches because that's where we want it. If you guys wanted it at 2, 3, 4, whatever, you can do that as well. But we're going to do the maximum, that way we can get the most light into the engine. And then so we're going to pull the rod out. The extension pole is going to hold the hood up for us, so we don't have to worry about that. So we are going to be measuring from this flat part right here. So literally right before where it hooks, we're going to get on that flat part. So I have it set on 6. Basically what we're going to do is we're just going to set the pole right on top of the measuring tape. We're going to lift it. We're going to lift it up and then pretty much set the measuring tape into that hole. And then we'll extend the extension rod. So once we have locked the extension pole, and then we're just gonna double check by making sure that we got it on 6, and then we're pretty much right there. So that's exactly where we want it. So we can go ahead and put this rod down. We will no longer need that. And then just to double check, we're gonna make sure this is locked so that it doesn't fall on us and it's not gonna go anywhere. So next step is we are gonna be taking these plastic trim pieces off on both sides. What you're gonna need is just a regular flathead, and we're gonna come right in between the clip there and give it a twist, and it'll just pop out. Once it's popped out, you can grab it and then wiggle it out. It'll just be like that. We're gonna set it somewhere safe because we are gonna be putting that back in. Then the next step is we're gonna need to push this piece towards the engine. They're just held in by little clips. So just get your fingers in there, pop it out. So these white clips, it's what is holding it in. And there's gonna be 3 of them, 1, 2, and then there's one up here. So we'll just push it in, and then this piece will come out. All right, the next step is we are gonna be installing this bracket here. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be cleaning up that area and then putting some tape on it, marking the holes that we need to drill, and then using a punch, one of these, to make the indentation, that way we have a guide for our drill bit, and then we'll drill it and then put in our first rivet. And then the location that we're gonna be installing it is this very first indentation right here. Okay, just enough so the tape will stick. We'll grab our masking tape. We will tear off just a little tiny piece. We'll try to center it. It's not really important that we get it dead center. This is just to give us a guide so we can actually write on the tape. So I'll set it right in there. Okay. Push it down. That way we can still see the indentation. The next step is we will grab that bracket. This one is the square one, so we'll have 2 square ones and 2 triangle ones. The triangle pieces will be on the upper hood. The square ones will be going on the fender. So grab a square one. These are powder coated, so we don't have to worry about rust or anything like that. So we are going to line it up with the very middle of the hole with that indentation. And you're kind of just really eyeballing it. If you just look, it might be easier if you make a mark. So what I'll do, since there is a hole in the middle, we can actually see where the middle is. So I'll grab my pen. I'll mark the very middle of it. Okay, that's a very middle section of the indentation. grab your bracket, and then if you look down, you can see the line that I drew. So the next step will be just to mark the two outer holes. The middle one we won't be using, but it is nice just to let us see where that middle section is. So once again, we'll line it up, make sure it's centered, and then we're gonna make our very first mark, okay? And then we will go ahead and make a punch there. I think this was $4 at Harbor Freight, which is super cheap, and this tool is really handy to have, so it's pretty nice. So I'm gonna show you how it's used. So you're gonna put it right on that mark that you just made, and then you'll push down. And if you heard, it made a punch. That way there's a nice little dent in our hole there. That way now when you put a drill bit to it, it won't try to move all over the place, and it'll have somewhere to go. All right, the next step, we're gonna need a drill and then a drill bit as well. You guys will need either a number 10 indexed drill bit or a 3/16 drill bit. And then they do provide you with a little piece to use as a guard, so that way you don't drill through your hood. So now that we have that all done, we will go to our hole that we made using our punch. We will set the drill bit tip right on there and just make sure it's not going anywhere, and we'll just use a slow speed. And as you see, it stops right there. I'll just give it a couple more turns just to clean the hole out. All right. All right. So now that we have our first hole, we can go ahead and take the tape off. We'll make the second hole once we have that bracket in, so we don't really need this tape anymore. So let's go ahead and take that off. Now that you have that first hole drilled, we're gonna go ahead and put some touch-up paint on it. We shook this thing up already for about 30 seconds. We just need a little bit, that's all we need. We're just getting that hole. Pretty much anything that is bare metal will rust, so we just want to cover that up a little bit. So we're going to let that sit for a couple minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. Once it's dried, we can go ahead and install that first rivet. That is applied. We are going to put it, so the ball will be towards the engine, so the hole that we drilled is going to be the very bottom one. So we'll just set it in like that. So we will just go ahead and set it in there just like that. Okay, once you have it in, grab your rivet gun, and we have already put a 3/16 tip on there. We'll go ahead and set it in there, and then just give it a couple squeeze. There we go. Once you hear that pop, you have successfully pulled the pin all the way through, and the rivet has permanently been installed in there. We'll go ahead and make the punch right in the middle. Push this down. That will create our little guide hole. Then we can set the drill in there. Alright, once we have that second hole drilled, we'll just go ahead and apply some paint inside there, so that way nothing rusts. Once again, we'll wait until that dries, and then we'll put in the second rivet. We'll set that in there, just like that. And then once again, so once we have that out, those two are completely secured. This thing isn't going anywhere. So that side is done. All right, now we're gonna be grabbing the struts. We're gonna be compressing them a couple times just to break it in, because with new struts, they tend to be a little sticky. Once we have that done, we'll take one. We are gonna be putting it onto the bracket that we just installed. And there is a top and bottom. If you guys look here, there is this top. This says Spiker Engineering. This is gonna be the top. So don't put the side with no stickers on top, okay? So there's a ball hole where this ball on this bracket will go inside of. So just line it up and then you'll just push it in and it will lock itself into place. Okay, just like that. And then it won't, it's a one-way kind of locking system. So if you guys look in here, it has like two little claws that grab onto that ball, and once it grabs on, it doesn't really let it out. So once it's in, it's in. And then so we're just gonna set it there right now. The next part is we're gonna be installing the upper bracket. Install it to your hood strut first. Put the ball right in the hole there, and then just push it in, and it'll lock itself into place. Okay, once it's in, we are going to raise it, and we are gonna line it up. The flat side is gonna follow the flat side of the hood, so that way you can't really mess up. So once you slide in, if it kind of holds itself into place, so you know exactly where you're at. Once we know where we are gonna be putting our rivets, we'll go ahead and lower that. We're gonna grab some tape. We won't need a lot, just about that much. Let's clean it a little bit so that way it sticks. Okay, it's gonna be about right there. Doesn't need to be perfect. What we're gonna do is we're gonna raise it back up, and then we're gonna line it right there. And if you guys chose a different height, let's say you wanted it exactly where your hood prop was, this bracket might be a little bit further up, I believe. So don't worry about it if yours doesn't look like mine. So once we have it lined up, open up the marker. We're gonna make one hole first. Just double check yourself. Okay, so we are good right there. Grab our punch. We're gonna set it right on that mark and then push it in. Once you hear that, you're ready to drill it. And this one is when this guard really comes in handy, because you definitely don't want to drill through your hood. So we'll find that mark where we just use the punch, and we'll just drill it slowly. Alright, so we'll just keep this blanket here since we will have to drill that second hole. But once we have the first hole, we can take the tape off. And then don't forget to put some kind of touch-up paint or primer on that, so that way it won't rust under there. Alright, so we shook this thing up a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and just apply some touch-up paint on there so that way it doesn't rust. Okay, we'll let that dry for a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and put the bracket with the rivet in. Now that that's dry, we'll go ahead and bring the bracket up. We're gonna set our rivet in. It's gonna go right in here. So once that's in, we'll go ahead and use our rivet gun to put that in place. Ooh! Alright, that was pretty hard. Let's do the next one. Once we have it lined up, we will use our punch. Okay. Grab our drill bit. Now that we have that second hole drilled out, we'll go ahead and apply some touch-up paint in that hole. All right, we'll let that dry for a little bit, and then we will put in our second rivet. All right, now that that's dried, go ahead and put your rivet in. There we go. That's on there. That's solid. There we go. We got one side done, and the other side is going to be the exact same. So just repeat what we just did on this side. The last part is just to reinstall everything, of course. So this piece here, on the back, you'll have 1, 2, 3 little slits that will go into these 3 white clips. So we'll just line it back up. And then the bracket with the hood strut mount clears this plastic piece, so you don't have to worry about it. It does touch the very bottom of this rubber piece, but this rubber piece is pretty flexible, so it's not going to have any issues there. So we're going to start with the very back one, because now that we do have that bracket there, we do need to push it down just to get this piece here. So if you come on over here, you can see that it's just a little bit high. So what we need to do is just push it down just to get it over that clip, and then we'll line up that second one and that last one, and then we'll just pull it into place, and that's it. And if you can see down here, it is barely just right on that bracket, so we're not gonna have any issues. Like I said, this thing is pretty flexible. So last thing is just putting back that clip that goes right here. So grab that clip, make sure it's popped open. If it's closed, you need to open it before you put it back in. Line up the holes.
Drop it.
You fucking... Once you have it through, go ahead and push it down, and that'll lock it into place. Just do the same for the other side. Alright guys, now that we have both the struts installed, the side trim pieces are back in, we're going to go ahead and take the extension pull out and see these new struts. There we go. So let's go ahead and pull it down. Okay, so if we were to open the hood, oh yeah, so much better. And it's lifted higher, so we have more light inside the engine for us to work on or look for lost clips or anything that we could have dropped down in there. But yeah, and if you guys decide you do want to remove your OEM rod for any reason, you can. We're just gonna leave it just in case. Let's say, you know, a couple years down the road, these things fail for some reason, and if it's within the 5-year lifetime warranty, Spiker Engineering will send us some new ones. But in the meantime, you can still use your hood prop to keep the hood open if you needed to work on that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep our hood prop just right there. But it is nice to never have to pull this thing out again, and then it's still low enough where you can grab it even at that 6 inches of extra lift on this hood. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you guys liked it, make sure you guys give us a thumbs up. We are gonna have the link to these struts in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.